What's going on, everybody? Nanon here, and let's talk about Hasbro and WotC. And I made a video back in March and April, and I really talked about how Wizards of the Coast tends to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And they do it again and again and again, and they shoot themselves in the foot, and they can't help themselves. And the first video was really when they changed how they were taking orders from distribution. And effectively, you'd have to order a product, call it 3 months before release, you get your allocation, and then whatever. So in Final Fantasy, they changed from taking a pre-order 5 months ahead of time, and then for Spider-Man and Avatar, even longer, especially for Avatar. So my thought at the time was that gives these guys so much time to print. They can try to dial in demand, but my fear was, given the fact that Hasbro is a public company, they manage quarter to quarter. As things start to turn in their favor, they will not be able to help themselves, because at the end of the day, they're whores for a bonus check. And when you're incented based on stock price and bonus, you're living in a short-term mindset, and that is ingrained in your brain. And unfortunately, that's kind of what it seems like. So going into Final Fantasy was the 5th set in a row with serialized cards. And the reason why serialized cards are important, it's not per se because of the value of the serialized card. That helps for sure. But it's really the confidence that it gives the market that you're not going to go full on retard and reprint and reprint and reprint like you did with Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. You know, they leaked product out, and as the set started to go up because everybody felt like it was short printed, they would just keep dumping and dumping and dumping on Amazon, and nobody knew where it was coming from because it wasn't going through distribution. It was all going to direct to consumer. And the direct-to-consumer model, which we know that they're pushing, and we'll get to that in a second, because the second giant red flag has hit today. When they don't have serialized cards and collector boxes, they can and they will reprint them. Now, that's not to say that they've reprinted things like Bloomborough and whatever. And that also comes down to, well, what is the definition of reprint? If you always have a line set up, is there a start and an end to a second print? But the fact of the matter is, the temptation to reprint a product that is on fire is, what's the word? They can't say no because they're whores. They want to get their bonus. It's getting to year end. They crushed Q2. Now, for some inexplicable reason, they can't get play boxes of Final Fantasy out till Q3, but I've solved that one as well. So we're going to get to that as we think about the margin that they have direct to consumer versus the margin they have going through distribution. So in Spider-Man and Edge of Eternities, quite honestly, they did not have a serialized card. There's no rhyme or reason to it. They have a headliner card, which is effectively a serialized card. But the only logical reason why they didn't put a serialized card in is because they want the optionality to reprint collector boxes at will if the opportunity arises. Now, with Edge of Eternities, the collector boxes, they weren't heavily allocated outside the norm. However, I did receive multiple master cases a month after release that presumably came out of nowhere. Now, on the pallets or on the cases themselves, it says reprint April of 2025. So they most likely weren't reprints. They were printed in the initial print run. But that being said, if there was a 5-month lead time, so April, so it was what, August 1st release? So April, May, June, July, so 4 months. We are presumably in the print window / past the print window for Avatar. So we are too late given the disaster that appears to be Spider-Man. for them to pivot and all of a sudden insert a serialized card into Avatar. So I am going to say with a high degree of confidence that there is not going to be a serialized card in Avatar. And that would prove the theory that these guys think that the 2 universes beyond sets after Final Fantasy are going to be absolute home runs. And they're going to want to reprint the shit out of them. And that's not to say that the reason why there's a serialized card in Final Fantasy could presumably be that Square Enix forced it to happen because they wanted to preserve the value of the IP when they knew Wizards of the Coast can't help themselves. They will shoot themselves in the foot if the opportunity presents itself. So with Spider-Man, we have no serialized cards. The market has lost confidence. The play boxes are still reasonably expensive, but again, the reason why play boxes aren't as readily available is they fully intend to dump them on Amazon for a much larger margin. And look, this set releases on 9/26, which is 4 days before the end of their fiscal Q3. So the Amazon dumps are going to start next week, the week after. They had to pump the price of the play boxes in an effort to sell as much as they can direct to consumer on Amazon at or a little bit below MSRP. So the collector boxes have gone from $1,000 or thereabouts, $950 plus tax, $1,000 down to $820. And there's no sell through. I mean, if you look at this, 19 a day, I mean, there's nothing. This sell through is worse than what Final Fantasy is today, months after release. Nobody's buying these because nobody has confidence in Wizards and everybody thinks it's going in the wrong direction. And quite honestly, all of this just happened yesterday. I thought the set was going to be an absolute home run. You know, they'd have their serialized Infinity Stone, the chase would be there, and people would just buy these up, and it would follow in Final Fantasy's footsteps. But no, Hasbro's a bunch of idiots. So the play boxes, they're still at $191. There's okay sell through. But look, 28 boxes. This is 54 boxes a day. This is like Edge of Eternities today. So let's just take a look. This play booster display. So Edge of Eternities, which has performed well, 34 per day over the last month. So in the month after release, versus the month up to release for Spider-Man selling 20 boxes more per day. Not great. And if you look here, you're 30, 19, 14. I mean, you're hitting the same numbers that Spider-Man was hitting. It's not great. So the icing on the cake, because I want to keep this short. I really wish these guys could get out of their own way, but they're too stupid to do it, or they're too greedy to do it. And quite honestly, if they don't hit Q3, they may not get here for Q4. This is why Magic the Gathering will never be investable, because it's a public company and these idiot executives can't get out of their own way. And it's not their fault. They're put in a position where they're incented to do one thing, and the rest of the world buys the cards because of another reason. And they are a direct contradiction with themselves. So now we talked about Final Fantasy, and I've mentioned multiple times the reason, in my opinion, and I didn't know this until today, or I didn't confirm it until today, why they're not going to push a reprint through distribution till the end of November was my theory was they're going to take the first shipment and they're going to push it direct to consumer. They're going to maximize their margins. Because if you think about it, the average cost for Final Fantasy play boxes from distribution is $120. Distribution's probably paying $100, right? So Wizards has $100 of revenue per play box, but if they're able to sell play boxes for $150 or $160 to Best Buy, to Walmart, or through Amazon at $190, where Amazon's taking 12%, 13%, and I'm sure there's a massive discount for volume, so it's probably closer to 4 or 5% for these guys. They're going to do it. So look what popped up today. Look at this little gem. Best Buy back in stock. Final Fantasy Wizards of the Coast Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy Play Booster boxes ready for pickup by Saturday. So if you place the order today, which is Tuesday, you'll have it by Saturday. So these didn't fall off the back of a truck. They weren't given to somebody 2 months ahead of time on TikTok or whatnot or whatever shitty platform you want to talk about. This is a reprint that should have gone through distribution, and it's gone to the big box stores because they are going direct to the consumer. They're going to undercut the price. They're going to maximize how much they can make. And then this is going to go through distro, and the price is going to go down to $150 or $160 a box. That's their business plan, is to go direct to consumer with product after release and to not issue serialized cards so they can reprint collector packs and collector boxes if the opportunity presents itself. Now, that's not to say they've done that. I'm not accusing them of doing that. I've seen no evidence of them doing it. But the only reason why you would not put a serialized card in a pack is so you are not locked into a defined print run. So that being said, the unfortunate truth of the situation is WotC's put a bullet in their head again. It's unfortunate, but I have no faith in Spider-Man right now. I have no faith in Avatar. And by the time Lorwyn comes around, which quite honestly was the worst block in the history of Magic, was it Shadowmoor boxes are 15 years old plus, 20 years old, whatever. And they're $300. It's complete garbage. Unless they're trying to do Bloomborough 2.0 and they're serialized cards, it's in the Karlov and Aether Drift slot. It's going to be a bloodbath. So look, we may be in for a bear market Magic here, and it's unfortunate, but they deserve it. They've done it for them to themselves with just idiotic decision making. So anyway, guys, sorry to be the bearer of bad news. I was super bullish on this stuff 2 days ago, and now that we have the news that there's no serialized cards, and we kind of felt that way when they didn't spoil it early for Edge of Eternities, and when there's none there, it's like, oh shit, they may not do it for Spider-Man. But we thought they were smarter than this. They're not. So anyway, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, and we'll talk soon.